911, what is the address of your emergency?
Loretta Pickard died in her burning Lakeland home, pleading for help.
I've got an unresponsive female. I got a male in the car refusing to get out.
Bob Baker Lexus and the family of Officer Mark Saylor, who was along with his family.
The internet is filled with creepy content, but some videos go beyond disturbing. Like this first video, for example. It's a quiet evening in Polk County, Florida. A 76-year-old woman named Loretta Pickard is home alone, resting on her couch. She's just had hip surgery and can't move much, so she's been spending most of her time there, recovering, waiting for her strength to return. Outside, it's cold and still. The neighborhood feels calm, peaceful, almost too peaceful.
It'll counter the poison. Please, there's not much time before it's too late. Better than my parents. No, Nick doesn't need it. Nick doesn't need it. She wasn't poisoned. She was only given.
At around 7 p.m., something changes. Loretta wakes up to a strong, unmistakable smell: smoke. She can't get up to check what's going on. Her body simply won't allow it. Her husband isn't home either. He's out with their grandkids. And that means she's completely alone. The smell starts getting stronger. Whatever's burning is getting closer. She knows she's in danger, so she grabs her phone and dials 911. What she says next will be the last thing anyone ever hears from her.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Pardon?
911, what is the address of your emergency? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
I think my house is on fire, and I'm here alone, and I'm on a walker.
Okay. All right, I have help on the way. I just have a couple of questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, just to help the the firefighters, excuse me.
Hurry up.
Okay, these questions are not going to delay paramedics in any way. Okay, what type of building is involved?
It's a log house with a tin roof. But it's coming from the roof, I think. I don't know.
Okay, I have help on the way, okay? These questions are not delaying the firefighters at all, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, I do have them coming. All right, I'm sending the fire department to help you now. Stay on the line, and I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
What should I do?
Okay, is anyone trapped inside the building?
Well, I'm inside the house. I don't even know if I can get out.
Okay, all right, I have them coming as quickly as possible, okay? How many?
It's just me.
Okay.
I mean, my husband's at the ball game, and I can't get him. I'll try his cell phone.
Okay, exactly where are you located? No, inside the home. Exactly where are you located inside the home?
Right now I'm in the living room. The smoke's getting bad.
Okay, if it's safe to do so, leave the building, close the doors behind you, and remain outside. Do not try to put the fire out. Do not carry anything. Do not carry out anything that's on fire.
Couldn't, honey, if I wanted to. I'm on a walker, and I can't hardly walk.
Okay. All right, well, I do have them coming as quickly as possible, okay, so just let me know when you see them. Okay, where exactly is the fire?
On the roof, I think.
Okay. Okay, is anyone injured?
No, I'm the only one here. I'm not injured, but my eyes are full of smoke. My lungs, I can't get out the door.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I have them coming, okay? They're coming as quickly as possible, lights and sirens, okay?
Okay.
For the next 15 minutes, Loretta stays on the line, begging for help while the fire spreads through her home. The dispatcher keeps her talking, telling her that help is on the way, but no one shows up. She's trapped. And the fire just keeps getting worse.
Oh, I see fire now.
Okay.
Are you here for those
Yes,
looking after me?
they're here. They're there. They're there. I'm letting them know exactly what's going on, okay? They are there.
Okay.
I promise they are right there. It's just they have to make their way into you, okay?
Okay, but they better run. Come in here. I'm inside.
Okay, stay on the line with me, okay? What's your husband's name? Hello? 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 Hello?
You can hear the flames. For 9 long minutes, the sound of the fire consuming everything she owns plays in the background of the call. The dispatcher is still talking to her, offering reassurance. But at some point during that call, Loretta goes silent. She was still alive when the dispatcher said help was coming, but no one was there to save her. What makes this story even more heartbreaking is what came out later. Firefighters were already outside when Loretta was still alive. They were just a few feet away from her, but instead of rushing inside, they stayed back. Turns out, there were no fire hydrants near the property, so the crew was relying on the water in their fire truck. But the captain that night, a man named James Williams, decided to use all of it to fight a small forest fire burning behind the house. Not the actual house that was on fire. Not the one with Loretta inside.
In a case 8 on your side has been investigating all year long. Loretta Pickard died in her burning Lakeland home, pleading for help, but firefighters stood by and did nothing about it. Well, now her estate will receive the maximum amount of money allowed under state law. 8 on your side, Stacy DeSilva reports from Polk County.
Loretta Pickard's niece tells me the settlement does provide a bit of closure.
Because of that choice, they had nothing left to fight the blaze consuming her home. Witnesses later said almost no effort was made to get inside the building. And it gets worse. James Williams had a history of recording Snapchat videos at fire scenes. And allegedly, that night was no different. In the end, Loretta was left to die alone. Her family has since taken legal action against the county, and they were awarded a $200,000 settlement. But no amount of money could ever undo what happened that night. James Williams has since been fired, but the damage was done. A lifetime of memories gone. A family left with nothing but grief. It happened the day after Thanksgiving. For most families, it's a time of love, warmth, and gratitude. But for the Pickards, it became something else entirely. The last time they ever saw Loretta alive. Her husband lost the love of his life. Her grandkids left a home they would never return to. And an entire family unknowingly said goodbye to someone they would never see again. It's sad that life can end so suddenly due to the natural forces of Mother Earth. This next clip shows exactly that. It all happened. On May 22, 2011, one of the deadliest tornadoes in American history ripped through the city of Joplin, Missouri. It was rated EF5, the highest classification possible. It lasted about 38 minutes, and during that time, wind speeds reached close to 200 miles per hour. What was once a thriving town quickly turned into a wasteland of twisted metal, shattered buildings, and unrecognizable streets. Photos from the aftermath are horrifying. Videos? Even worse. For a long time, I avoided watching one of them. People had been recommending it to me for years, but I never sat down and watched the whole thing, not from start to finish. Life got in the way, and maybe a part of me didn't want to. The video is titled First-Person Video of Joplin, Missouri Tornado. It was uploaded the same day the tornado hit by a user named IzelsG. According to the description, they filmed it from inside a Fast Trip gas station on East 20th Street. When the sirens started, they rushed to the back of the store, then eventually into the walk-in fridge to take shelter. Visually, there's not much to see. But the audio? That's what really tells the story. You don't need to see the destruction. You can hear it.
At least probably 10 or 12.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's probably 18 or 19.
The chin is getting real. I haven't. Our power.
Yeah, they said there was one. They said there was one on the ground at 7th and Range Line.
Yeah, but that's the one coming between this way on 20th.
Man, look at that.
That's why that wind's that.
Yeah. No, they haven't yet. The sirens aren't going.
But yeah, they did.
What?
Yeah, they
Dude,
did. That's as they we were coming in
crazy.
here.
This is getting real.
Somebody's door.
Go let them in.
Someone in. Dude, we need to.
Get inside there. What is that room right there?
When stuff's breaking in the back.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Can we go in the cooler?
Everybody, go.
Great.
Get in. Okay. I think we're gonna do it.
I'm trying to put less weight on him though.
Ma'am, are you okay?
Who's right here? Is that you right below me?
It's raw. It's terrifying. And somehow, everyone inside that store made it out alive. But the same can't be said for the rest of the city. The Joplin tornado claimed 158 lives and injured over 1,100 people. It struck with almost no warning. Sirens gave people just 20 minutes to react. Some tried to drive. Others huddled in basements, bathtubs, or closets. But in many cases, it just wasn't enough. What happened in Joplin wasn't just another storm. It became the 4th deadliest tornado ever recorded in U.S. history. Entire neighborhoods were leveled, schools destroyed, hospitals overwhelmed. And yet, in the years that followed, the community began to rebuild. Piece by piece, brick by brick. It's been over a decade now, and while Joplin may never fully forget what happened that day, we can only hope they never have to go through anything like it again. But it's nothing compared to what Andrew Thomas went through on the night before Thanksgiving in 2015. A time when most people are winding down, gathering with loved ones, or preparing for the holiday ahead. But in the small town of Paradise, California, that quiet evening, would soon spiral into something far darker. Officer Patrick Feaster sat in his cruiser, parked quietly along the road. It had been an uneventful shift so far. His vehicle was positioned near a local cantina, a place known for its late-night drinkers and the occasional drunk driver. And just before midnight, that peace was shattered. A vehicle tore out of the parking lot at high speed. Feaster's dashcam didn't catch it, but Feaster himself did. He hit the lights and sped after it. Within seconds, he caught up. The SUV came into view, driven by 26-year-old Andrew Thomas. In the passenger seat was his ex-wife, 23-year-old Darian Aaron. Andrew had been drinking heavily that night, well over the legal limit, but instead of pulling over, he tried to get away. The chase didn't last long.
All 20, on view, roll over TC, Pearson, just east of Black Olive.
Copy, roll over TC, east of Black Olive.
Just moments later, the vehicle slammed into a median and flipped violently. The SUV came to rest on its side. Darian had been ejected through the windshield. Her body slammed onto the pavement. She was still breathing, but barely. Andrew, somehow, was alive, trapped inside the car, but conscious, and desperate to get out. He tried to crawl through the broken window, maybe to reach Darian, maybe just to escape the wreck. And that's when Officer Feaster stepped into frame, gun already drawn. Without saying a word, he fired. 2 shots. One of them hit Andrew directly. His body went limp, collapsing back into the wreck. From the dash cam, there's no indication of a threat. Andrew was unarmed. He was using both hands to pull himself up. There was no warning, no command, no hesitation, just the sound of a gunshot. Feaster's reaction is immediate. He walks up to the SUV, shines his flashlight inside, and stares. He doesn't speak. He just stands there processing what he's done. More than 10 seconds pass. Then he grabs his radio and calls it in.
I've got an unresponsive female. I got a male in the car refusing to get out.
But here's where things get disturbing. Feaster never mentions the shooting. He tells dispatch that the driver is refusing to exit the vehicle. No mention of the shot. No mention of Andrew's condition.
Copy, give your cross on Black Olive.
Pearson.
Copy, Black Olive and Pearson.
He even begins scanning the ground with his flashlight. Some believe he was looking for the shell casings. Another officer arrives. Feaster repeats the same line. The driver's refusing to get out. Still, no word about the gunfire. But then, from inside the wreck, Andrew speaks. "I've been shot." Feaster hears him and denies it. Andrew repeats himself, then tries to tell the second officer.
Sir, come out of the car. The car is still on, and I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, I was right there. I saw it.
Did you get shot at the cantina? Who shot you? The cop did not shoot you.
But with no context and no visible weapon, the second officer assumes Andrew is confused, possibly in shock. Feaster continues walking the scene, saying nothing. Minutes pass. 5 full minutes. And still, no one knows Andrew has been shot.
He may be hurt in there. Yeah, I know he is. He's in shock at the very least.
At some point, the footage cuts out. We're left only with the audio from the other officer's body cam as he tries to get more information from Andrew.
Sir, I need you to talk to me so I know you're okay. Sir, take a look at me. Did you bump your head?
But by this point, he had gone completely silent.
"10 minutes later, the video cuts back in. An ambulance has finally arrived. Medics rush to Darian first. She's in critical condition. Shortly after, she's pronounced dead. Meanwhile, Andrew, who's been lying, bleeding, inside the vehicle for nearly 11 minutes, still hasn't been treated because no one knows he's been shot. Then finally, Feaster speaks.
Hold this scene, Manny, with me. We're going over to the cantina to find out if this guy...
I wasn't even pointed at him.
I might have shot the man. I'm not sure.
Oh my God, are you serious?
No.
The recording ends. Later, it was confirmed. Feaster had shot Andrew Thomas. The bullet struck him in the neck, paralyzing him instantly. That's why he couldn't get out of the car. He physically couldn't. And yet, it took 11 minutes before anyone even knew he had been shot. Andrew held on for weeks. But on December 19th, he died from his injuries. Feaster claimed the shooting was an accident, that he didn't know he had hit anyone. But many didn't believe him. The shot was deliberate. The video shows him clearly aiming. And when Andrew told him he'd been shot again and again, Feaster denied it. Then there was the flashlight, the ground, the missing casings. Eventually, Feaster was charged and convicted, not of murder, but of manslaughter. He received 180 days in jail. Many were outraged. Andrew Thomas made a terrible choice that night. He drove under the influence and put lives at risk. But that doesn't excuse what came next. An officer fired without warning, then waited, while a man slowly died. And in the end, the silence said more than the shot ever could. Luckily for Andrew, the truth eventually came to light. But what if it remained a mystery to this day? Let's see it unfold in the next video. It's late at night, and a long-haul trucker named Eduardo Colon has just checked into a Super 8 motel. He's been on the road for hours and finally has a place to rest.
Not what you need to hear? Then stay here at Super 8. Clean, comfortable rooms because we inspect them more than any major economy chain. Clean, friendly Super 8. All the room you want.
The TV's on in the background. There's a commercial playing. Something about the place already feels strange, but Eduardo doesn't seem to notice. He gets cleaned up, makes himself a hot meal, and settles in for the night. Everything about his evening is routine, just a tired man trying to unwind. A couple of hours pass, and he should have been fast asleep by then. But something went wrong. 2 days later, Eduardo still hasn't checked out. A security guard on duty is asked to investigate. He walks up to Eduardo's door and finds a "Do Not Disturb" sign hanging on the handle. The room's locked from the inside. He knocks.
Eduardo, you in there, buddy?
No response. Still nothing. The room is quiet. Too quiet, but it's locked. Thinking something's off, the guard decides to go in. He gets the door unlocked and steps inside. At first glance, nothing jumps out. The bed's messy, blankets thrown across the floor. A purse sits on the table, along with a bracelet, a photo, and a small scale with the name George Martinez written on it. It looks like a regular motel room left in a hurry. But then he walks toward the bathroom. And that's when everything changes. Hanging from a suitcase strap in the bathroom is the badly decomposed body of a woman. Eduardo is nowhere to be found. You'd think the photo left behind would help identify her. But it didn't. To this day, no one knows who she is. Her name, her story. Everything is missing. She's become just another Jane Doe. An autopsy confirmed the presence of heroin in her system. The cause of death was ruled a suicide. But the mystery only deepened from there. That scale labeled George Martinez was one of the only clues police had. They tried to trace it back, searched for witnesses, checked local footage, even tried to find Eduardo. Nothing. Not a single lead. It wasn't until 7 years later that police finally managed to reach Eduardo's family. But by then, it was too late. He had already passed away. Strangely, when investigators showed the family a photo of the man believed to be Eduardo, they said they didn't recognize him at all. They were adamant. That's not Eduardo, they told police. They had never seen this man before. Suddenly, everything shifted. Not only was the identity of the woman unknown, now the man believed to be Eduardo Colon was also a mystery. And whoever he was, he had completely vanished. All police had to go on was the name on the scale, George Martinez. But tracking down a George Martinez in the 90s was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Years passed. The case went cold. No new leads, no new suspects. Then, in March 2021, a credible tip came in. Someone claimed the woman's name might have been Becca and that she had flown to Albuquerque from Los Angeles. Why she was there, who she traveled with, and how she ended up dead in a motel bathroom, no one knows. Her identity, even after all this time, remains a total mystery. Just like the case of Joanna Lopez, this is one of those haunting stories where there's a photo, a clear face, physical evidence, yet not a single person on Earth has come forward to say, "I knew her." What really happened in that room? Why did Eduardo, or whoever that man really was, never come forward? And what was his connection to the woman? Maybe there's more to this story than anyone realized. Maybe Eduardo, or the man posing as him, was hiding something. But now that he's gone, that truth might never come out. If you recognize anything about this woman, or if the name Becca means something to you, please contact the Albuquerque Police Department. I know this is a long shot, but someone, somewhere out there, must know who she was. Even if this case stays unsolved for now, keeping stories like this alive is one of the only ways we might ever get closure. But closure is harder than you think, especially when it happens because of something they had no control over. It all happened on August 28, 2009. A California Highway Patrol officer named Mark Saylor is behind the wheel of a Lexus sedan. He's not on duty, this is just a casual drive. His wife Cleof is in the passenger seat, with their daughter Mahala and brother-in-law Chris sitting in the back. They're heading northbound on California State Route 125, just outside of Santee, California. Everything about the trip feels normal. A typical Friday evening. Nothing out of the ordinary. But just minutes later, this would become one of the most horrifying automotive tragedies ever captured on a 911 call. At around 7 p.m., a call comes in. It's Chris, and his voice is filled with panic. You can hear him shouting. He's begging the operator for help. Something is wrong with the car. The accelerator is stuck, and they can't stop.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Yeah, we're in a Lexus.
I'm sorry, your cell phone's cutting out.
We're going north 125.
Mm-hmm.
And our accelerator stuck.
I'm sorry?
Our accelerator's stuck. We're on 125 and we're late.
Okay, northbound 125, where are you passing?
We are passing, where are we passing? We're going 120, Mission Gorge. We're in trouble. There's no brakes.
Okay.
Gorge, and freeway half mile.
Okay, and you don't have the ability to, like, turn the vehicle off or anything?
We're approaching an intersection. We're approaching an intersection.
Okay.
We're approaching an intersection. Hold on. Pray.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. Oh.
Okay. Hello?
First tonight, we are hearing from the attorneys for both Bob Baker Lexus and the family of Officer Mark Saylor, who was killed along with his family in a fiery crash 1 year ago in Santee.
Today, Toyota announced it had settled the lawsuit with the Saylor family, but 10 News has learned...
Seconds later, all 4 people in the car would be gone. What makes this even worse is that the Lexus they were driving wasn't even theirs. It was a loaner, given to them by a nearby dealership while their regular vehicle was being serviced. Investigators would later report that the car reached speeds of 120 miles per hour before losing control. It slammed into a Ford Explorer, flew off an embankment near the Mission Gorge Road exit, and launched into the air nearly 100 feet before crashing back to the ground and bursting into flames. The driver of the Explorer survived with minor injuries, but for the Saylor family, there was no chance. In the aftermath, Toyota, Lexus's parent company, faced massive scrutiny. The likely cause? a misplaced rubber floor mat that trapped the accelerator pedal, preventing it from releasing. It wasn't the first time something like this had happened either. Dozens of similar reports started surfacing, and soon, Toyota was forced to respond. Between 2009 and 2011, the company issued a wave of recalls. Most of them were directly related to the accelerator pedal or braking systems. By the time it was over, more than 5.2 million vehicles were recalled. That's an enormous number, one that sent shockwaves through the automotive industry. For anyone driving a Lexus during those years, it was impossible not to feel uneasy. The Saylor family later filed lawsuits against Toyota. Eventually, the company agreed to a $10 million settlement. But as we've seen time and time again, money doesn't undo tragedy. No legal resolution could ever bring that family back. They were victims of a mechanical failure they had no way of seeing coming and no way of stopping. And today, that final 911 call lives on across the internet, a chilling reminder of how quickly a routine drive can become a death sentence. Not because of recklessness, not because of error, but because of a flaw in the machine they trusted with their lives. And speaking of machines we trust with our lives, the next video is a perfect example of that. It's 7:23 a.m. on the morning of September 29, 2016. Pascack Valley Line train 1614 pulls out of Spring Valley Station, just north of New York City. It's heading south, bound for Hoboken Station in New Jersey. It's a ride that thousands take every day. Nothing unusual. On board that morning were about 250 passengers, most of them headed to work. The train glides smoothly through the suburbs. People sip their coffee, scroll through their phones, catch up on sleep. There's nothing out of the ordinary. 8:45 a.m. The train is now approaching its final destination, Hoboken Terminal, one of the busiest commuter hubs in the region. But something's wrong. The train doesn't slow down. Instead of braking at the platform as expected, it barrels forward, straight through the buffer stop at the end of the line. Passengers are thrown from their seats. People scream. The cabin erupts into chaos. We just kept going and going. No braking, no nothing. That's what one passenger, Jamie Weatherhead Saul, later said. Moments later, the train crashes through the terminal wall. It finally stops, but not before tearing through concrete, debris, and steel. Hoboken Station, usually buzzing with life, is instantly transformed into a disaster zone. That morning, 114 people were injured. One woman, standing on the platform, was killed. The date, September 29th, would forever be remembered for what happened that day. But while the crash itself was tragic, it wasn't long before something even stranger started to emerge, and it came from somewhere you wouldn't expect. A local news broadcast. Let's rewind. One day earlier, September 28th.
Good morning from the wires of Associated Press and the WK.
A small TV station out of central New York, WKTV, was airing its regular evening lineup. Viewers were watching when suddenly, in the middle of a commercial break, something weird appeared on screen. A hazardous materials warning flashes across the broadcast. Civil authorities have issued a hazardous materials warning for the United States, effective until September 29th, 2:16 a.m. Then, without explanation, it ends with a line from Dr. Seuss. Would you, could you, on a train? Yeah. A quote about a train. One day before a fatal train crash, WKTV quickly scrambled to put out a statement. If you were watching our 6 p.m. newscast, you saw a hazardous materials warning message. There is no such warning. It was a technical error. Later that night, they issued a second update on their website. The message was an automated test from FEMA that was not intended for public display. The code included a national location code, which caused it to be broadcast. We've contacted the New York State Broadcasters Association and FEMA to investigate. But that wasn't the end of it. There were 2 separate alerts that day, not just one, and they both appeared to carry the same message: cryptic, oddly timed, and eerily specific. WKTV pointed the blame at FEMA, but just after the train crash occurred, FEMA responded, "We didn't send this alert. We'll be launching a full investigation." WKTV confirmed it again. FEMA denies involvement. We've disabled the codes in our decoder that triggered the alert. We'll be cooperating fully to find out who did this. Oddly, other clips began surfacing around that time, showing similar hacked alerts across the US, but only WKTV's version included the Dr. Seuss quote. To this day, no one knows who triggered the message, how it was sent, or why it mentioned a train just hours before a fatal derailment. And while conspiracy theories started surfacing online, suggesting sabotage, hacking, or even foul play, none of it has ever been proven. But here's what sticks: the timing, the quote, the crash. Maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it wasn't. But either way, it's one of the most unsettling digital anomalies tied to a real-world tragedy that I've ever seen. And no matter how many times I read that line, would you, could you, on a train, I still get chills. That's all for today, folks. If you want to see more of this creepy content, click on the video on screen.